Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Just a heads up, my sound might sound a little bit funky, so I'm sorry about that. My computer is being a little bit silly today, so I just want to let you know. You're not going to have to listen to me for very long, though, so don't worry about it. We're just going to give a second here for everyone to join, and then we're going to get started. I'm so excited for this.
Too.
Wonderful. So good to see everyone. Let's see. I see Angela, Emma, Hima, Jed, Kylie. Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us. Okay, everyone. So I think we're going to get started here. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Samantha, and I work on the events team here at Algonquin College. And welcome to our low waste shopping workshop, which I'm very excited for because I'm very much into sustainability and low waste shopping. So I'm excited to learn more. So before I get started, we're just going to go over a few housekeeping items. To stay connected to the Algonquin College community, please be sure to tune into our other live events that you can find through our events calendar, which we'll share in a link to in the chat now. Today's event is equipped with closed captioning. If you need it, you can press the CC icon along the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. There will be a Q&A session towards the end of today's session, so please hold your questions until then. This event is being recorded and will be available to watch on the AC Hub on-demand website in the coming days. And again, we'll share a link to that in the chat now. Okay, folks, so now I have the pleasure of introducing you to the wonderful Isam Ari Hernandez. While in college, Isam Ari began educating herself about sustainability. She quickly learned that our current consumption habits are not sustainable and that many eco-friendly products are very expensive, which makes them inaccessible to many people. She realized that by creating more affordable and eco-friendly products, she could encourage more people to make the change to sustainability. Isam Ari believes that the goal isn't to make everyone live a perfect zero-waste lifestyle, but to encourage people to become more eco-friendly in their daily lives by making sustainability accessible to everyone. She hopes that she can educate more people about their consumption for the benefit of the environment and for their health. Isam Ari is the proud owner of Zero Waste Cleaning shop and Instagram page. And if you would like to learn more about that, we'll post the links to her shop and her Instagram page in the chat now. Thank you so much for being here today, Isam Ari, and you can take it away. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. So hello, I'm just going to start sharing my screen for the presentation. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. So yeah, I'm Isam Ari. I'm the owner of Zero Waste Cleaning, and today I'm going to give you some tips about how to live a zero waste, well, as much zero waste as possible as a college student, which means like making it more affordable. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. It wasn't loading the page. So my name is Isam Ari. I'm a zero waste business owner. I love nature, so that's one of the reasons why I started my business. I'm a minimalist, which means that I don't buy excessive amounts of things that I don't need. I try to keep it, to the essentials. And I'm also an environmentalist. So I educate people on climate issues. And yeah, I try my best to help the environment in any way I can. And yeah, that's my picture. So today we're gonna talk about certain topics that I find really important. So first, how I got into zero waste, because I feel like when you don't know that much about it, it's hard to figure out like where to begin. So kind of just sharing my own experience and, kind of giving tips on how to have an easy transition towards zero waste. Obviously, being totally zero waste is almost impossible. So that's really not the goal, but to be as more sustainable as possible. And yes, tips on zero waste, facts about the environment that you may not know, and things that we can do to help the environment. So what is zero waste? I'm sure you guys are familiar with it, but basically it encourages people to reuse as many items as possible and obviously create less waste and less pollution. And actually, it started in New Zealand. So it was introduced to households, again, to reduce waste, and it kind of got, it blew up. So pretty much everyone knows about it now. It's pretty, well, let's say popular, but I'd say it's just more general knowledge now than it was, let's say, 5 years ago. And how I got into zero waste. So first, I was born in Cuba, which is like a third world country. So we basically reuse everything, anything that we can reuse, as like it goes for plastic bags, jars, anything. We reuse everything. So already there, but when I was a kid, I didn't realize that we were actually being eco-friendly, because obviously that wasn't the goal. It was just to like, be able to survive basically. But that's kind of how it started. And then when I came here and to Canada, I started to realize that we throw out a lot of things. And then, as a kid, you don't really think about it because you're like, oh, well, the trash has been taken out almost every day. Like, you don't really think about where all that is going. But it's when you actually see the images of the landfills, and especially now the oceans, it's pretty bad. So we definitely need to do something about it. And then I started first doing the research about plastic, because plastic is not very good for our health, especially women, because let's say if you leave a plastic bottle in the sun and then you put water on it, like the chemicals from the plastic get into the water, and then we drink that water, and it's been found in breast cancer patients that chemical is like one of the main causes of breast cancer. I didn't know about this until like a week ago, which is crazy. So anyways, my first goal was, okay, I want to get rid of plastic. I just want to use as less plastic as possible. That's kind of what I started doing. Obviously, the goal is not to just throw everything out. You have to use whatever you have until, it's run its course, and then you can buy like other options like metal or wood or things like that. It's loading for the next slide. So these are some facts about the environment. The world dumps a massive 2.12 billion tons of waste every year. That is huge. Again, we don't see that waste. Like, our house is clean. We don't really see that waste anywhere unless you look it up and try to inform yourself. So 50% of plastics are used only once, which is huge. And only 9% of the plastic that gets tossed in the recycling bin actually gets recycled. So that was a fact that really shocked me. Unfortunately, in North America, we don't really know how to recycle properly. That's why we have this huge problem. So it's called wish cycling. So for example, if you buy a salad that comes in a plastic container, most plastics are not recyclable. So you have like different numbers of plastic, 1 to 8, I believe, and only 1 to 5 are recyclable. And how to know the numbers, like just by looking at them, usually the plastics are super like soft, and for example, a plastic bag, it's very low quality plastic, which means it doesn't get recycled. Because it's not worth for the recycling center to recycle that plastic, because no one's gonna buy it to like make something out of it. So we throw a lot of things in the recycling bin that never end up getting recycled. Everything that's lower than the 5 like quality just doesn't get recycled. And actually sometimes by doing that, we can be having a really negative impact, because when they get the batch of recycled items at the recycling centers, they won't go like one by one. Oh, what's gonna go in the recycling center? What's not gonna? So sometimes if the batch has a lot of unrecyclable items, they'll just dispose of it and throw it in. It's gonna end up in landfill. So not only wish cycling doesn't really do anything, but it also has negative impacts on what can actually get recycled. And another fact is by 2050, we estimate that there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. That's pretty scary. And actually right now, a lot of microplastics have been found in fetuses because the fish eat the microplastic and then we eat the fish, and then it kind of gets stuck in our bodies and it creates numerous health issues. So we definitely need to do something about that. And here are some other facts. So 8 tons of plastic waste are dumped in the sea, and all of these critically affect marine life forms. So I don't know if you know about coral reefs, but they're not doing super good right now because it also, as it decomposes in the ocean, it creates chemicals that lower the pH of the ocean. So it's not, you know, the coral reefs can't keep reproducing and creating more life. And yeah, so 300,000 tons of waste float on the ocean's surface. I'm sure you've seen the images of like a bunch of plastic just floating around. And actually, we never talk about like how does this happen, but before 2018, especially North America, we used to send a lot of trash to underdeveloped countries, and they didn't really know what to do with that, so they would dump it in the ocean. So that's why we have this huge problem. And yeah, and if you look at images, it's really heartbreaking how they, like, for example, a beautiful river, whatever, is just now covered in plastic, and even people around it can't fish. So really, you know, it takes away the resources. Anyways, it's a separate issue, but it's pretty terrible. So I'm just gonna give you some tips on like some easy changes that, you know, you can do to get started. Again, it's not about going like, okay, now I'm gonna be zero waste and I'm just gonna throw everything out and, you know, start from scratch. That's really not the goal. So we really want to go step by step, you know, being realistic, because we want to keep those habits. So I feel like something really easy would be reusing plastic bags. So the plastic bags I have right now, for example, I use them for trash. So I don't know, I'll put them in the bathroom or something, and I'll use them as like trash bags, or just reuse them. You know, you can go back to the store with them and just repurpose them like that. Reusable straws, I think those are pretty popular right now. I prefer the bamboo ones because the metal ones just feel weird on my teeth. Uh, but yeah, I mean, of course, straws are not a necessity. Like nobody needs straw. You can just drink straight out of the cup or things like that. But I personally feel like I drink more water when I'm using a straw. That's why I'm mentioning this. And for anyone that really likes straws or use them on an everyday basis, I really recommend reusable ones. They're super easy to use, easy to clean, and yeah, it's a really quick fix. And say no to plastic cutleries. So for example, if you order food from Uber Eats or whatever, they have this option now that you can just refuse since you already have cutlery at home. And you know, if we add those things up, it makes a big impact. Also, one thing is using soap bars in organic dishwashers. So if you buy like body wash and like a plastic bottle, it's really easy to switch to a soap bar. You have some that smell amazing. They're usually wrapped. They're either not wrapped if you buy it at like a zero waste store, or they're wrapped in paper or things that can easily get tossed in the recycling bin or you know, be composted. And another thing is repurposing glass, cardboard, and paper, especially glass, because when you toss glass in the recycling bin, again, it rarely gets recycled, unfortunately. So reusing it, you know, your glass jars to store other things. I actually have a problem with that because I keep too many of them. So now it's become an issue. But anyways, the goal is to reuse as many as possible. Yeah, so how can we make zero waste affordable? Because when I started my zero waste journey, I quickly found out that everything zero waste, everything eco-friendly is expensive. Like there's just no way around it, usually because it's metal and it's supposed to last a long time. So they have to make it, you know, higher quality. So to usually, or sometimes just marketing purposes, they'll just, you know, say that it's more expensive when it can easily be more affordable. like organic cleaners, biological cleaners, and stuff like that. So anyways, one way of making it really affordable is reusing. So reusing as much as possible. So purchase repairable items over disposable ones, and try to avoid unnecessary purchases. So I think we're all guilty of this. We see something, pretty and nice and whatever, and we want to buy it, but then we don't really use it that much, or we don't really need it. So an easy way to make it affordable is not to purchase anything that you don't actually need. Like if you don't see yourself actually using this for the next year, just, leave it there for someone else, or just to decrease the demand so that we can produce less and, be more eco-friendly. Decrease exposure to tempting advertising messages. So you could do this by, on your Google settings. If you use Google, you can turn off certain settings. That's what I do. And I feel like the ads that I get are not really that tempting anymore. So I rarely buy anything off the internet after like I see an ad. But yeah, they're very tricky and they for sure make you want to buy it. So what you can reuse. So I started using Beeswax Wraps. So it can replace plastic film or Ziplocs. So as you can see here, you can make like a little pouch and put like your sandwich. Or let's say you open something, you could just take the beeswax wrap and just like you would use regular plastic film. I buy mine either from Etsy or from like any zero waste store. I feel like when you buy it from Etsy, you're kind of like making sure that it has minimal packaging and it's shipped in like recyclable things, like for example, like a cardboard box, stuff like that. Like Amazon, I mean, it's usually shipped in plastic and it's not super eco-friendly, but if you buy a ton of stuff and it comes shipped like all at once, then I guess that's a little less bad, but I really recommend zero waste stores or Etsy. Silicone bags as well. They can be expensive, but they will last forever. So I like the stasher bags. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but you can put them in the freezer, you can put them in the oven, they're dishwasher safe. They're expensive at first, but like I said, they would last a lifetime. I don't know if you guys knew, but silicone is actually like melted glass. Like I know it sounds weird, but it's like the glass. I don't know how to do it, but it's not plastic. It's actually comes from glass. So you can. I like to freeze my fruits in them. So whatever fruits I see in my fridge are gonna get bad pretty soon, I just put them in one silicone bag and I put it in the freezer, and then I can make smoothies. Another option is tote bags. So that's super easy to just have in your bag for whatever, let's say, just to go anywhere. I just have one in my bag to avoid, again, having the need for any plastic bag or any packaging really. Like I just, like, they're made out of fabric, so you just hold them and it takes very little space. And another option, it's kind of like for the beeswax, but like a little less versatile, is the silicone food covers. So again, they would last forever. And when you open a can or when you open even fruit, sometimes you can just like put it over and it will preserve your food for longer. I feel like this one's pretty easy as well, like a reusable water bottle. That's kind of one of the first steps. First, of course, is more affordable because water bottles are expensive when you add them up. Also, I don't know if you knew, but it costs about like 1 cent to refill your water bottle at home. Like, luckily in Canada, we have pretty affordable tap water. So it's definitely, I mean, 1 cent, you can't really go any cheaper than that. Not even, because 1 cent is per gallon. So it's even less. So yeah, that's one option. Another is wool dryer balls. So you don't really need like dryer sheets per se, but if you have clothing that's made of certain materials, it would have some static to it. So the dryer balls can definitely help with that. Also, it saves electricity because when you put them in your dryer, they kind of tumble around with your clothing. So it makes sure that it dries evenly and faster. So yeah, you never have to buy dryer sheets again. And also you're saving electricity. So those are things that we want. Also kitchen cloths. So you can make them out of your old clothing that you were planning on throwing out, or like old towels. The goal here is really to reuse anything you can. So old t-shirts, whatever, you can use them as kitchen cloths. And another option is natural biodegradable sponges. So you have these loofah sponges that can be used for the to do the dishes, so in the kitchen, or like even as your typical loofah sponge in the shower. And these are biodegradable, so once you're done using them, you can just put them in your compost, and they're super affordable. Usually, again, I get mine on Etsy because they're not super pricey. Or in summer, zero waste stores also have a bunch of them, just because they get like the loofah from the farmers. And yeah, and like I said before, we use and repurpose glass jars. So I store my fruits in them. I store grains. I store rice. I store basically anything. You can, even yogurt. You keep them, I don't know, in your fridge, in your pantry. They're super useful. And yeah, because sometimes, for example, if you really love a tomato sauce and you can't really live without it, oftentimes it comes in like a glass jar. So then what do you do with it? And it's really easy to just wash it, take out the sticker, and reuse it. And I have a trick actually for if you're planning on doing this, to take out the sticky part. You take coconut oil and then salt, and then you rub it off, and the glue comes off with that. So that's a trick that I found. And another thing is refill tablets. So these are my refill tablets. So they're $3 Canadian each, and each of them, except for the hand soap, make 1 liter of cleaning product. So whatever spray bottle you have at home that you already bought, you can just refill it with water and add 1 tablet, and like the video right here. I hope it plays. Yeah. And it will create 1 refill. And it's also super convenient because they're super small, so you can store them anywhere, and you can buy like a year's supply and just have it like in a little box under your sink. And also for the hand soap, I hate going to the store and buying hand soap, so it's useful when you can just have it there. So whenever you run out, you just pop 1 tablet in your bottle, and that's it. So another other tips that I find useful, especially to save money, are to preserve your produce as much as possible. Because I don't know, strawberries are actually pretty expensive. They're like $5 a little box. So I found that when let's say you get them at the grocery store, you wash them and you take out like the little leaves on top, and you put them in a closed container. They would last at least 2 weeks, which is twice as long as they would last in your fridge before they rot and everything. So that can be and also when you see that they're going bad, you can freeze them and then keep them for smoothies. That's something that I've found that definitely saves you money. And also for lettuce, I'm guilty of having my lettuce looking all sad in the fridge because I just don't have time to make myself food or whatever. So what you can do is actually split it apart when you get it, and put it again in a closed container, and put something to absorb the moisture. So it can be like a dry dishcloth or even paper, and it will keep it fresh for at least a month. I'm not kidding. Like, I've tried this, and this is all I do because sometimes you eat out and stuff, so you forget that you have vegetables at home, and this really helps you save money. And also, avocado. Again, avocados are pretty expensive. Something that I found very recently that I'm really excited to share is that when you cut half of an avocado and you make yourself a salad, you still have the other half, and usually it'll go bad and it will turn brown, and anyways, oftentimes you'll just forget about it. What I found is if you fill up a container with water and then you put the avocado in the container and then you stir it in the fridge, it will keep it looking fresh, like in the picture, for like an extra 2 days. So if you forget about it, I mean, if you make your salad and then you have this extra other half of avocado, that can be easily saved. And I didn't know about this. Anyway, I find like very few people know about this hack. But yeah, it's super useful. And then I wanted to talk about the 4 Rs. So I already talked about reuse and give you some tips about that. And also reduce, obviously, by less products that you don't actually need. Recycle and rot. So rot, it's composting, obviously. And yeah, so the 4 Rs, a quick intro. So the recycling part, like I said before, not all plastic is recyclable. So we need to be more careful on what we buy. So make sure that you check that little number. So it's like a little triangle under plastic things that will tell you like the quality of the plastic. So yeah, I highly recommend that. Also, for example, at the grocery store, you would have your typical lettuce, like in those plastic containers, and you would have it without the plastic containers. I highly recommend just getting that one and just washing it. And it's actually cheaper to get the one that's just like without any wrap around it. And paper. So anything that is soiled is not recyclable. So let's say if you get a pizza box and it has grease on it, you will not be able to recycle it. So that's another mistake that we often make whenever we buy food, or even the the coffee containers that they give you at Tim Hortons. Those are not recyclable because it has a very thin layer of plastic inside. So even if we wanted them to be recyclable, they're not, simply because they're not at the recycling facility. They're not gonna strip away the paper from the plastic. It's just too much work. So they'll just, put it in the landfill. So another thing that can be recycled forever is aluminum and tin foil. So actually your tin foil can be recycled if you put like every tin foil that you use and you just like stick it together in a ball and toss it in the recycling bin. It will get recycled that way. Just because the machine detects that it's like aluminum, and then it will get recycled. If it's just like a little tiny piece, it will just get tossed and end up in landfill. And another effective, well, super eco-friendly way of disposing of waste is to compost. So I don't know about Ontario, but here in Quebec, we have like the brown compost bins. So any organic waste kind of goes in there, and then they take care of it and they make fertilizer. So that's pretty easy. And yeah, how can you start a zero waste lifestyle? So you can advocate for eco-friendly alternatives. This is a mistake. I was going to add something. Yeah. So for example, I feel like anything has an eco-friendly alternative nowadays. For example, the toothbrushes. So you have the bamboo toothbrushes that can be composted. But of course, let's say if you have a pack of toothbrushes at home that are made out of plastic, you can't just take them and throw it in the garbage. You have to use them for 6 months and then get the eco-friendly alternative. Same thing for shampoo, let's say, because now you have like bar shampoos and bar conditioners. But if you already have shampoo at home, use whatever you have first, and then get the more eco-friendly option. Also for razors, so you have the metal ones that actually are super economic because the blades cost almost nothing. But again, if you already have some at home that work, just keep using those and then get the more eco-friendly alternative. So yeah, convenience at the expense of the environment is not convenience at all. So why do we have this huge plastic problem? Because it's convenient. But we're seeing, throughout the years that it has really big consequences to just use plastic all the time. Wait, the video never played, I think, of my refill tablets. Well, it doesn't matter. So we definitely need to cut down on anything that's plastic, also because it's bad for your health. And another thing that I wanted to point out is that a lot of companies are coming up with these eco-friendly products that are not actually eco-friendly. They basically just slap like a green color on it and like color eco-friendly, or these companies that are trying to be more sustainable, but then the sustainable item comes in plastic. um it doesn't really add up. So you really have to be careful. It's called greenwashing. And for example, you see that with shampoos nowadays, like, oh, plant-based and things like that. But unfortunately, they're trying to make money out of it. And then they see that there's a huge market for it. So they will try, to persuade you in buying those things. So you really have to look up the companies that you're willing to support. Or like I said, Etsy, it's a great option for buying sustainable things. It's my experience with Etsy has been pretty great actually, because you can talk with the seller, and oftentimes they actually, if it's a sustainable store, they actually know that putting plastic packaging and like shipping something in plastic is not sustainable. And they would also try to use as minimal plastic packaging as possible. Another thing that is sustainable and will be more economical, and that I didn't know and actually just found about a couple of months ago, is to try to use, for example, one product for many things. So, laundry detergent, let's say. First, you need a lot less than you think, which is something else that I found out very recently. But you can also use it for your toilet, which, again, it's gonna sound crazy, but it works. So you just need a tiny bit. You drop it in your toilet bowl, and you can clean your toilet with it. I saw very recently a company came out with like eco-friendly toilet cleaner, and I'm like, why? Like, you can just reuse regular soap, even like dish soap that you can just wash your, like, anyway. So you really have to be careful with things like that, because like I said, they want to make money. It's a business, so they will try to sell you everything. So for example, for a glass cleaner, obviously you need a glass cleaner, so you'll use that often just for glass. All-purpose cleaner, for example, the tubs that we have, let me go back if I can. The tubs that we have for the all-purpose cleaner, it can be used in the bathroom, can be used in the kitchen. And on the video, you can see how effective they are at cutting through the grease that you may spill in the kitchen. The bathroom cleaner, again, can be even used for the toilet. Yeah, wait, let me just play the video. And our hand soap can also be used obviously for hands, or even like to wash dishes, stuff like that. So my point with this is try to like reduce your consumption in a way. Even for skincare, for example, because skincare is a big thing. It's almost impossible not to create waste if you want to do skincare. And also, for me personally, have dry, sensitive skin, so I can't just DIY my skincare because I have a rash, and it's not it's not good. Not that sustainable skincare is not good, but for me personally, I prefer to go with something that's been approved by a lab or something like that. But what I do is to use as many, just the products that I need. So what do you actually need? Cleanser, moisturizer, those are like the bare minimum. And then if you have acne or something like that, you can use a serum. So it would be cleanser, serum, and moisturizer, and sunscreen, let's say. And again, skincare, they will try to sell you this like 10-step routine that you have to use just to like do the bare minimum. It's not true. And I actually buy like the big tubs of moisturizer, because oftentimes good moisturizers for your body, you can use them on your face. So again, it creates less waste there. And the plastic that it comes in, I try to make sure that it's recyclable. So then when I'm done with it, I just wash it and I throw in the recycling bin. But yeah, so I use the same moisturizer for my face, for my body. And I know it sounds crazy, because I was like, how can you use the same moisturizer that you use for your body on your face? But for example, CeraVe, they have a great option. It's non-comedogenic. I mean, it hasn't caused me any crazy reaction or anything like that. So it really works. Also, you have oils that you can use that are more sustainable as well. Um, but yeah, with skincare, keep it minimal. You really don't need as many steps as you think you do, or is that like they're trying to sell you the 10-step skincare routine that you don't really need. The other thing is with makeup. So makeup, again, keep it as minimal as possible. You really don't need like 10 different palettes of eyeshadow. I used to work, actually one of my first jobs was to work at Sephora. So I still have makeup for like from like 4 or 5 years ago that I'm like, okay, I'm not buying anything anymore. So in the last 2 years, I haven't bought any new makeup. I'm like, I'm gonna use, except for like concealer, because I have only one and then I run out. But yeah, and I know it expires, but for example, eyeshadow, any like compact, I mean, I'm not suggesting this, but whatever, I still use it and I try to finish it before I buy something new. And blush, for example, like how many blushes do you really need? Or a mascara is something you need to buy, more frequently because it dries out and um, it also expires very fast and it's your eye, so there's like more risks there. Also for mascara, I have a trick that I just up in my head. When it's drying out, you can put it like the plastic container, you can put it in boiling water and it will bring it back to life. Also, you can add like eye drops, like 2, 3 drops, and mix it and put in boiling water, and it will bring it back to life. Because I had one of mine, it was still full, but then it dried out. I was like, I'm not gonna buy a new mascara. Like I just got this new one, and it worked. And so those are just things that you can do that are super affordable, that will save you a lot of money as well. And another thing, well, this is a little more complicated, but as students, we also spend a lot of money on books and, just materials in general. I made the big investment of getting myself an iPad. I know not everyone can afford an iPad, but I don't really buy books anymore either, because you can usually find the PDF version um, on a website, or even like buy the PDF version if you want to save the amount of paper that's being printed. And yeah, I don't really buy, for example, pens and stuff like that anymore, because like I said, I made an investment, but I get that not everyone can do that. So I really suggest buying the least items as possible. So, your highlighters, pen, whatever, and it will save you money and you'll be helping the environment. Another aspect is clothing. So I don't know if you guys have heard of fast fashion. It's getting more and more known. So these brands push all these new trends constantly, and we feel like we need to buy them. But I really suggest focusing on buying high quality clothing that would last you a long time. Also with that, fabrics, for example, polyester will, when they get washed, they will leak like microplastics into the water, which again, the fish will eat and eventually will end up in our bodies. So I highly recommend buying like natural fabrics, which means cotton, linen, things like that, or really buying minimal new clothes. So there's a lot of cute outfits that you can get from thrift stores. And again, supporting the least as possible these like fast fashion brand, because I know the responsibility shouldn't be on the consumer. It should be on these big corporations that are like causing tons and tons of pollution. But if there's a demand for it, they will still find, a way of making it out to the market. So we can help in that sense, meaning like not supporting those brands, and even like between friends, just like swapping clothing, or they call it like swap parties. So they will like bring clothing they don't use anymore and then swap it, or just giving like a new life to your clothing. So I don't know, DIYing something that would look different can help as well. And yeah, in general, just supporting the least possible brands that really don't care about the environment. And it's a shame, but right now, a lot of those brands that don't really care are trying to make it seem like they do. And it's becoming harder and harder as a consumer to determine who we want to support, because yeah, genuine brands are not that common anymore. I don't know if I'm forgetting something. Another tip that doesn't have to do that much with sustainability, but is to, for example, with plants, if you love plants like I do, you can either from your own cuttings or whatever, just make more plants. And also you don't have, oh, and for the glass containers that I have, I reuse them as well for that, for my plants, which is a great way to reuse it. Or even in summer, if you're gonna, sorry, if you want to grow your own food, you can actually grow your own tomatoes from the tomato seeds that you get from your own tomatoes that you will be eating, which is something that we don't really think about. But yeah, instead of buying a tomato plant from the store, you can just get your own seeds from your own produce and just, grow your own food. I get that not everyone has the space or the time to do that, but it's something that's really therapeutic, honestly. I started 2 summers ago and I really love it. It really helps with anxiety. And also it's very satisfying to be able to eat, your own food that you grew. So I really recommend that. And it's pretty economic. Like I said, if you have your own seeds and then you reuse whatever pod that you already had. So yeah, that's another tip that I had. I think that's pretty much it for my presentation. I'll give some more time to Samantha for the ending, or if you have any questions. But yeah, these are our socials: Zero Waste Cleaning, zero like the number 0. And I hope I was able to help. So yeah, if you have any questions or anything that you're struggling with zero waste, just let me know in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them.
That was wonderful, Isam Ari. Thank you so much for that. So folks, if you have any questions or comments, now is the time to make them. So you can either raise your virtual hand or you can type them in the chat if you would like. Isam Ari, I'm just going to go back and read a couple of comments that we got throughout your presentation here. So let me see here. So actually, Emma and I made the exact same comment at the same time when you were talking about greenwashing and fast fashion. We both realized that H&M is like really, really bad for this. They actually had a program where you could bring in your old clothing to recycle them, and then you would get like some money back or like a gift card back. I think that's gone now, but they slap those labels on their clothes being like, this is eco-friendly or this is sustainable, and really they're like terrible for that. So I just thought that was funny that both Em and I realized that at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And then 2, I just want to make a comment. I find with becoming more sustainable, the most difficult part for me, and like you mentioned, is like fast fashion. I find that so difficult because, I'm a young woman and I want to be trendy. I want to be on top of all the trends. I want to look cute. And these clothing companies, like, they make these items so affordable and so cute and so trendy. But like these trends, they come and go so quickly, and then we're just throwing our clothes away, and they're like really bad quality. And I find that the hardest. And so that's kind of like where I am at right now, is trying to transition into more sustainable like clothing shopping. I find that's like my biggest challenge right now. So your tips were very, very helpful for that. Karen Gribben, she said, I do the same. Small planters for propagating my plants. Old salsa jar, becomes a plant nursery. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, we have a few more comments here. Let's see here. Okay, Karen said, I think a big thing people don't know about waste and environmental impact is the behind the scenes aspect. Like those cleaning tablets are small and compact. Instead of using gas to transport the detergent bottles that are fairly diluted with water that you can get from the tap. Yes, I agree. What do you think of that, Isam Ari?
Yeah, so I actually made a recent video about that. If you go check the refills at the grocery store, meaning like the big jugs that you would use for Windex or hand soap or those products, the first ingredient will be water, which is very surprising. I mean, I didn't know about that, but yeah, so you're basically not only contributing to pollution because those big volumes of water are being transported and stored, so the energy to store it, and also they're making you pay for that extra amount of volume that they need to pay to transport and to store. When you have tap water at home, not technically free, but almost for free, for a bottle, it's not even 1 cent. So yeah, I don't know how not like how those companies are not doing more and more like concentrates, like concentrate tablets or like the liquid with less amount of water. But yeah, I find like it would help tremendously the environment. And also they add so much like harsh chemicals. People keep thinking that to clean you have to have harsh chemicals, and I've been proving that it's not the case. For example, with our products, I often make videos about like how I clean my house because I only use my products. Like I will never see myself going to the store purchasing Windex when I just have like 10 tablets that I just keep around. But yeah, the the harsh chemicals that eventually end up in the water. So let's say if you clean your bathtub and you're adding those chemicals, it would end up, in the water stream, polluting the water. So even that, not only the water that they add, but also the ingredients that they use for just to like sell the products. Definitely think that it's unnecessary, and I've been proving to my customers, and customers always give me good feedback about how effective our cleaning products are, because people are like, oh, it's natural product, it doesn't work. And it's definitely not true, especially not in 2021. You have so many alternatives.
So we had another question here from Hema. Do you have any suggestions for affordable and sustainable clothing stores?
Well, obviously thrift stores are good for that. But honestly, even like with fast fashion brands, let's say I want to buy like a cute top that is trendy just because I like it. I will make sure to look at the materials, which are pretty, will tell you if it's gonna last or not. So for example, I make sure that it's cotton or like linen, stuff like that, or like mostly cotton and then like maybe like 20% polyester. So my tips is really, yeah, thrift stores, or if you have like cheap stores that sell fast fashion, just really looking at the materials, because you're gonna buy a top and in 2 months it's already gonna be going to waste. So anything can be affordable, really. It's just how much you're willing to invest in it, kind of, because you can buy a bunch of basics, which is what I do, that are good quality, and then kind of switch certain things about your look to make it more trendy. But sustainable stores also, you can support like small small creators, small like small businesses, which oftentimes will use sustainable materials and also make it good quality because they're making it themselves. So it's really depends on your preferences and your style.
Well, this is a really good tip that I had never thought of. So like if you maybe can't afford or it's not accessible to you, like smaller businesses or like thrift stores, if you can't get to one, if you are at like a fast fashion store, to look at the materials and try and just buy materials or clothing that are made of specific materials. And I think that's a really, really good tip and very accessible to lots of people.
Yeah, I actually bought like over a year ago, I bought a pair of jeans that was like $20. I mean, it doesn't really get cheaper than that. And when I look at the materials, it was 100% cotton. So I was like, okay, this looks pretty, sturdy to me. And yeah, lo and behold, I still have it, and it still looks brand new, and it was $20.
That's a great tip. Thank you. Okay, we have another comment here. It was from Karen, and she said, food waste is also extremely bad for this. Produce is heavy to ship and resource intensive to grow. So food waste is a huge impact on the environment we never get to see. If it doesn't need to look beautiful and is just to look beautiful, and is just to be going to be cooked down to a pulp, like a bunch of soup vegetables, buy bulk imperfect produce and reduce produce if you just want to freeze it or cook it down to puree it. Yes, I agree, Karen.
And also buying single bananas, because those usually get tossed, and yeah, because usually people don't like to buy the ones that's just like alone. And I don't know, every time I go to the grocery store, I get the single bananas, because otherwise people are not gonna push them and just not go to waste.
And apparently the ones with the bruises are like the most healthy. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard things, if they have the most bruises, it's like the most healthy for you. I don't know. That could just
I didn't know that.
Okay, folks, let's see. Hima said, thank you. I've also been reading about the capsule wardrobe, which is a great way to organize your wardrobe and not falling for the trends. Exactly, yeah. Have you heard about the capsule wardrobe, Isam Ari?
No, I haven't. I'm gonna look it up right after this.
It's basically just like a bunch of basics, and then like you can use those basics to make a ton of different outfits.
Okay.
Which is very sustainable.
Oh, that's great.
Classic, and it's all over TikTok, just like Hima said. Isam Ari, I have a question for you. Can you tell us more about your specific business, how you got like started with your business, and do you make your own products, and do you have like a lab? Like, how does all that work? I'm so curious.
Yeah, so I heard about these products about 2 years ago, and I didn't find anything available in Canada. So I was like, how is this possible? It's not like, you know, we live in a different planet. Like it should be accessible to us as well. So I started to look at what I can do, like where could I get them from? And then I spoke about some friends, and they put me in contact with, you know, like let's say like the right people to start making my own products. So I sat down with a biochemist that also has a PhD in environmental sciences to make sure that every ingredient is biodegradable. So if it ends up in the water, it's not going to pollute the water. And then once we came up with a formula for every product, I sent it to a manufacturer. Unfortunately, there's no manufacturers in Canada for those specific products. So the tablets themselves get manufactured in China. There's no way around it. I even look at similar companies. It's unfortunately for now, that's the reality of it. I'm always looking for, manufacturers in Canada, obviously, but I still haven't found any. If you know any, please let me know. But yeah, so I buy them in bulk. So they come in no packaging except like, the big cardboard box. And then they get packaged here in Montreal with, actually I have one right here. So this is basically a recyclable paper, and it's also recycled. It's made out of recycled materials. And yeah, so it comes in like a little pouch like this that gets made here in Montreal. And then they get shipped in, again, paper mailers. So everything's recyclable down to the shipping label. Like I made sure of that. And there's no post-consumer waste really, because I don't add extra packaging just to make it look pretty. Like it's not necessary. And what's the customer going to do? Open it and throw in the garbage? Base case, recycling. So I really keep the packaging minimal. And yeah, I hope I answered your question. What was the other part of your question?
How did you get started with your business?
Oh, yeah. So like I said, I saw similar products that were not available in Canada. So I started doing my own research, and then I ordered some samples, and I posted a video about it on TikTok, and it blew up. I was not expecting it to blow up. I did not have the inventory for it. And then I quickly created my website. I was the one that was making the website and everything, and like taking the pictures, creating the content. So that's how it all started. And then, a lot of adapting since then, a lot of improving. And then I, hired the people to help me out as well. So that's how it all started. TikTok.
That's amazing, Isam Ari. I love TikTok so much for like, I find it's especially useful for like young entrepreneurs like you just get so much visibility and you can really show off your style and your products. So definitely, and is it you're always cleaning on TikTok as well?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we had a couple more comments here. Let's see. Okay, so Emma asked, can we get a copy of the slides? So I will coordinate with Isam Ari if she can send me the slides, and then if so, I will send them to everybody. So yes, we'll try to get that for you. I just had one more question before we end off here, Isam Ari. Okay, so you mentioned the small everyday things that we can do to live more sustainable in our everyday life. But what do you find most challenging? Like, what part of living sustainably do you find most challenging? I mentioned it was like fashion for me. Do you have something that you find most challenging?
Yeah. So basically, eating out. So if at a restaurant, it's pretty unavoidable. Let's say the waste that the food comes in and stuff like that. So at one point, you really have to be realistic and be like, okay, what can I actually do? Like, what is in my control to do? You can't like stop living either. It's not realistic. You're not going to do it forever. You're going to do it for a couple months, then get tired and stop altogether, which is really not the goal. So I think my challenge is mostly with food. And here in Canada, like, it's not like we have winter and stuff like that. So for fruits, vegetables, they usually come in plastic packaging. There are zero waste stores, but then you have, for example, like snacks, like sure, you can make your own chips, but like realistically speaking, not really. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge with food in general.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you so much, Isam Ari. That was like super, super helpful. And thank you everyone so much for joining us. Like Isam Ari said, it's not about going completely like no waste. It's about doing your best and making the change to more sustainable lifestyles. So I just want to say thank you again, everyone, so much for this. And like I said, I will share the slides with you in the coming days. If you're interested in more of our events, please check out the event calendar, which we just posted in the chat now. Check out our Twitter and our social media pages for more events coming up. And please check out Isam Ari's website, social media, TikTok, check out our TikTok and all of that fun stuff. So I just want to say thank you again so much, Isam Ari. That was amazing.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone for participating.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, folks.
Thank you.
Bye.